can I just say, before you watch this particular video, Mark has some words for you.
We do a weekly podcast, Kermode and Mayo's Take, and these videos are just morsels taken from that podcast.
And basically, him in the glasses and the hair, he reviews the films.
Him in the smaller glasses and the smaller hair, he does all the big interviews.
Plus a load more. So wherever you get your podcast, make sure you subscribe and make sure you download on a regular basis. It's very healthy.
There's a link below.
Don't forget that bit. It's very interestingly placed, Mark, on Sunday night at 9:00, because this isn't really the kind of drama I think that people expect to see on Sunday night, which is kind of, a little bit Paddington, a little bit cozy. Let's how we can set people up for the week. This is an interesting programming choice, I think.
Okay, well, that's an interesting thing, particularly to me, because I don't think I knew it was Sunday at 9:00, largely because it's the whole series is on iPlayer. And what I did, as I mentioned that thing, was I sat down and binged it. And of course, I realize now that you're saying that I've become so used to doing that I've become kind of disconnected from the broadcast schedule. So you're right, that is an unusual placement. But I mean, I wonder, because obviously I know Justin Kurzel's stuff as a filmmaker, and so I'm kind of inclined to even watch the miniseries as a film. So I just blocked out, set time and watched the entire thing on iPlayer. And I think a surprising number of people will do that. Do you think people will watch it episodically on Sunday nights like that?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't think so. I think more people than we expect will do it that way. An older generation will expect to just watch it on a week-by-week basis.
Right.
I don't know. Many people will maybe they'll watch 2 or 3 at a time. I just think maybe it doesn't matter anymore, but 9:00 on a Sunday is cozy crime, which this certainly isn't. But anyway, what a fascinating man to speak to.
Yes.
And also, clearly, we didn't have time to talk about it. This book is a very important book. This story is a very important story in Australia, particularly. And like you, I hadn't read the book, but it's a big deal, this book.
Yes, it is. When I went to Google the title, Narrow Road to the Deep North, the first thing that I discovered is that title has many echoes dating back to the poet Matsuo Basho. There is a 1968 satirical play by Edward Bond, which is apparently a political parable set in Japan during the Edo period, same title. Then, of course, so I didn't realize, even because I'm very ignorant, that the title itself was alluding to this whole history. And so my first encounter with the story was in watching the miniseries. So when the miniseries began, I didn't know anything at all. I mean, I hadn't watched any of the trailers. I just knew that we were going to be interviewing Justin. And it's, as he said, it's very complicated because it's playing out in 3 separate time periods that are intertwined and that seem to be in conversation with themselves and with each other. And as I think Justin said in that interview, and incidentally, if you're watching this review on YouTube, go back and watch the Justin Kurzel interview that Simon just did before listening to the rest of this, because it's really, really important, because he laid out so much of what's important about the series. It's about memory, and it's about dealing with the past and accepting the past whilst also putting the past to rest. So that idea of the tension between the past, the present, and the future, the state of mind of characters being informed by the past but not being necessarily entrapped by the past, is all going on. And actually, this relates back to what you were saying about if you watched it episodically over a series of weeks, I think that actually would perhaps enhance that experience, perhaps because you're doing a similar thing, which is you're remembering the episodes that you've seen, rather than watching them as a single run. So it's about memory, it's about national memory, but it's also about personal trauma. And how, as I said, the central character, who in his later incarnation is played so brilliantly by Kieran Hines, is somebody who is emotionally remote, which makes him a great surgeon, but also doesn't necessarily make him a great person.
Mm.
And, I didn't know going in how brutal the tough parts of the story were, and I think I was surprised by just how unflinching it is. There is a particular sequence, and I think it's episode 4. It's one in one of the later episodes in which there is, and you were talking to Justin about this, about what was it like for the actors to play this particular scene, which is a scene of horrific cruelty, and it's directed rather brilliantly in as much as it's close when it needs to be close, and it backs off when it needs to back off. But from the very, very beginning, there are scenes that I think some people will find surprising on television because what we're dealing with is a really, really grim situation of people who are suffering, starving, and then, in various states of physical disrepair, and it's to do with surgery. I think the word unflinching is fair, don't you think? That it is.
Yes.
I think you said to me when we were speaking beforehand that you'd read a review in which somebody had said you keep expecting him to cut away and then he doesn't. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's the FT review. You do expect him to, and us to look away at a particular point, and we don't. We stay there.
I do think Kieran Hines is outstanding, absolutely outstanding. I think Odessa Young is terrific, and I have liked her very much in films like Mothering Sunday, which I thought she was great in. Jacob Elordi, of course, Euphoria, Priscilla, Saltburn, On Swift Horses, which I saw when I was in Croatia, and he's about to be Heathcliff in Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights, and then he's the monster in Del Toro's Frankenstein. So I mean, his career
and might be James Bond apparently.
Is that what the last I heard? I thought it was Josh O'Connor, but so is it now Jacob Elordi is the front runner? Is it?
Honestly, no one knows. But if you're good looking and under 30, I think the chances are someone is going to suggest you.
Yeah, okay, fine. But I think of all the roles that he's done, this is the most challenging. I think this is the biggest stretch. This is the one. I mean, obviously we haven't seen Wuthering Heights or anything else yet, but this is the one which is the most demanding, which is the one that requires most for him to step out of whatever comfort zone he might be in. And it's also, I think, the great challenge of you're going to play a character, and incidentally, in their later life, that character is going to be played by Kieran Hines. Step up.
And of course, Kieran Hines was in, when we were talking to Maxine Peake a few weeks ago, Words of War.
Yes.
In that film, Kieran Hines is a Russian newspaper editor. And
yes, that's right.
now he's an Australian surgeon and former soldier. Anyway, which is, of course, acting.
And he was multiply nominated for his role in Kenneth Branagh's Belfast. I think he was nominated on both sides of the Atlantic for his work in that. And I mean, I think this you watch this and you realize why he's had the stellar career that he has, because there is nothing that he can't do. But one thing he is very good at doing is saying little but expressing lots. The kind of the stoic role is something that he does rather brilliantly.
And if there is anyone who knows more than Mark and I about, it was something that Justin hinted at when he was talking about in conversation with the Japanese actors. My understanding is that Japanese culture has not really discussed their war record in the same way as German culture did after the Second World War, which may well, and if that's wrong, then please write in and explain. But that might be why some of the younger actors that they had in playing the Japanese roles had that conversation that they did with Justa Gazelle. But anyway, if you have inside knowledge or proper information about that, send it to correspondence@kermodeandmayo.com.